Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Not wasting any time tonight because we have so much information to go over with you all tonight. So I thank you for joining me on this fabulous Wednesday for our community conversation. I am Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate and candidate for Commissioner District 3 in Clayton County, and I use my love of learning and passion for community engagement to empower families. And I'm going to tell you all right now, go ahead and call your friends and tell them to come on because I'm going to have a small Cat Williams moment. All right. So I'm going to give you all a couple minutes to go ahead and come in because I have some things that, I want to discuss with my community. So there's some things that, it comes with the territory when you're running for political office. Things will be said about you. Some of it may be true, a lot of it may not be true. Okay, so before we get into our discussion today, I just want to clear the air on some things. And since this is my platform, I don't have to ask anybody permission to do it. All right. So come on in so we can just have a little discussion. So, as you all know, I am running for commissioner, and some things have been said. So, let's clear the air. One of those things that has been said is how I focus on education. Now, I am just going to say if you are someone that is concerned in about the direction that your community is going, and a lot of things have been said about our community being tier one, um, and with tier one comes a lot of tax breaks for businesses and things like that, and we haven't been seeing the progress that we should see because we don't want to remain a tier one county, right? So things have been said about that. If you do not focus on education in your community, you're being short-sighted. So to be a commissioner that is also an educator is actually a plus. All right. Now, let me tell you, I have mentioned that I do have a bachelor's degree and two master's degrees. And what that tells you about me is that I am someone that completes what I start. All right. It also tells you that I am someone that is a thinker. I am also an observer, and I know how to bring solutions to the table. So just because you have a degree in a particular area, do not pigeonhole people because that degree came with a lot of experience. All right. So now let's talk about education in our community. You may or may not be aware, but the governments and private entities, they determine how many prisons they're going to build based on third grade reading scores. Third grade. Why do I bring that up? We're talking about public safety. If is public safety not an issue that commissioners need to address, need to work with law enforcement about? I do believe so. So having a background in education also helps you to look at that facet of public safety. Another thing, we want to talk about businesses and bringing businesses in because one thing we do know, bedroom communities cannot sustain a community. All right. So that means we need to bring in industries. We need to bring in businesses. Guess what they are looking for when they decide that they're going to come to a particular area? They're looking at skilled workforce. What are we talking about? Education, yet again. Is there a skilled workforce? Is there an income base that will sustain their business that they want to bring in? And if they think that there's a low skilled base in their community, you know what you get? Warehouses. Is that an issue that commissioners need to address? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. So when we talk about education, there are many facets to it. Let me tell you something that our neighbors right next door faced. Stockbridge, the city of Stockbridge. They had a whole incident where there were some facets that wanted to separate Eagles Landing community from the city of Stockbridge. You know what they noticed? They noticed that without industries and businesses, there was no way that their community was going to be sustained. Now, luckily, it didn't pass, but what those lawmakers did, they focused on bringing industries into their community. Okay, so these are the things that commissioners have to look at. There's a proliferation of vape stores that are popping up. When are we going to address that and say, let's look into that and maybe put a moratorium on these vape stores? When are we going to look into these storage units that are popping up everywhere and say, let's put some policies in place? So when people try to talk about, oh, she's an educator, oh, I'm more than just an educator. I'm a thinker. I'm a solution driver. I know how to bring things to completion. All right. And then there's something else I want to bring up. Yes, I have proudly run for office before. Yes, I did. I ran for state representative. And the true measure of someone's character is what they do when they don't get the position. There are many times we have seen it before when someone didn't get the position and they literally disappear. You don't even see them again. You don't hear them again until maybe the position comes up again and they decide to run. But let me tell you what I did. I stayed in the community. Okay. I worked to make sure that our census numbers were increasing because I understood that federal dollars from the census was going to help our community. So I was out there knocking on doors. I was out there getting people registered. Okay. When we needed a warming center, I spent my nights in the warming center to make sure that our vulnerable citizens had somewhere to be. I continue to work with our Office of Sustainability to work on how we can further that project. I am on the board of appeals, and I will tell you, and any of your board, or any of my board members will tell you, I don't always agree with everything that is done. I am that independent vote. And if you bring something to our board and I don't think it improves our community, which is what our board's supposed to do, I'm going to vote it down. So when you look at my record, you will see that I have put in the experience that it takes to be a well-informed commissioner. And that is exactly what I plan to do. And lastly, I want you all to know my name is funny and I have a smile on my face all the time because I have joy in my heart and I have love in my life. I am loved by my family. I am loved by my friends. I have had friends since middle school. As a matter of fact, the young lady that's coming on tonight, we have been friends for years in a whole nother state. So please know that I don't have to run for office to have friends. I am here to do the work of the people. And if that is not your goal, then that is okay. But I want you to know that that's what I'm here for, not to make friends, okay, but to do the work of the people. So these are just some things that I wanted to address so that we can get on with the work of the people. And without further ado, let's get into some more education tonight that's going to benefit families. And tonight I have this phenomenal high school counselor that is going to walk through with our parents and our students to let them know everything they need to know for the college application process. I understand that everyone may not go to college. Okay, but we need to have this information for those that will. In our community, we still have a lot of people that may be first generation college, and these things that you're going to learn tonight may help you to provide that aid so that you don't have to take out so many student loans and things like that for your college career. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my friend and educator, Miss Sharon Medina.
Oh
Hello there.
hello.
Thank you for being patient with me, but you know me, you know your friend.
Have to make your point and make it clear and precise, right? Because that's what
Yes,
educated people do.
that's what we do. That's what we do.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining
You're
me
welcome.
tonight. I am going to give you the spotlight. Tell
Oh,
people who you are and what you do and your why for being a high school counselor.
okay. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say just thank you so much, Tanya, for allowing me to be here. We've been friends for I think it's been years. It's been years. I would say over 16 years, maybe almost 20 years. And I'm so happy to have you as a friend. I can call upon you at any time. When I started working at high school as a math teacher, you were one of the first person to just take me under your wings, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be a part of your circle. So first of all, I just wanted to say hello, everyone. I am a guidance counselor at a high school in New York City, in the Bronx, to be specific. I've been an educator. First, I started off as a mathematics teacher at a fashion high school in Manhattan. And in Manhattan, meaning New York City, and I've been teaching. I was teaching mathematics for 15 years, and somehow, somewhere, I said, I need to go back to school because I really want to be a guidance counselor. Matter of fact, to be exact, one of my students, before she graduated, she said to me, Miss Medina, you have been so helpful to us in our college process, in our whole high school mentoring, in the years that we've been in high school. In 10 years, when I come back to visit you, you should not be in the classroom. You should be a guidance counselor. And it brought me back to my childhood memory, when I was in high school myself. And I remember telling my math teacher that I'm going to be a math teacher and I'm going to be a guidance counselor. So it just really, a lot of times, students sometimes bring you back and help you to remember your why and what you wanted to do in life. So I enjoyed being a math teacher for a long time, and now I've been a guidance counselor for 3 years, and that's pretty exciting, I would say. Yeah, so one of the reasons why I wanted to be a guidance counselor is because I was undocumented in high school.
Oh,
And I was,
wow. Now that I
yes,
didn't
yes,
know. I
I
had
was
no
on,
idea.
the things that you just forget to mention. So I was undocumented in high school, and I was at the top of my class. I had all the highest scores in mathematics. And so I remember my guidance counselor did not know what to do with me, and he just kind of like shrugged me off. And I said, you know what? I want to help other children who are in my situation. The great thing about it, now we have DACA, and we have a lot of opportunities for students who are undocumented, but there's still students and families that are very scared. And I'm here to help them and to comfort them and let them know, like, listen, there are opportunities out there for you, and I'm not going to push you to the side because you're just as important as
Mhm.
the other students who are at the top of the class, who are documented, I should say.
And the information that they need, it goes for both, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So now I know with DACA, it went to court. So was it overturned, or are there still some aspects of it that are still in effect?
Yeah, students are still able to use their DACA status,
Okay.
to be able to apply for college. But in some states, New York particularly, I love New York for this reason. Students who are undocumented who does not have DACA, they can also get their college paid for, which I think is just lovely. I think New York is really leading the way in that effort.
Oh, okay. I
Mhm.
want to just stop for a second and say hello to Heather, who's on watching, and Siobhan. You all comment. Make sure you ask a lot of questions. So, Sharon, what I want to start with, okay, I know a lot of times that we tell the students, you're going to college, you want to go to college, make good grades. But outside of making good grades, there are other things that we need to consider. So, when would you say is a good year for students and parents to really start focusing on what do you want to major in, and to start like in what do we need to do to investigate colleges that we may want to go to? Because we can't go to college just we go to a particular college just because they won a national championship or they have a
Right,
good
right.
football team.
I think it's a well, let me just start by saying that I think it's a mistake for counselors and folks to discredit students because their grades are not at the top of the class, and I think
Okay.
that's usually the mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's a place for every single student who wants to pursue this, and just remember, leaving high school is not the only pathway to college. You can go to a 2-year school and then transfer to a 4-year school, or you can decide to take a gap year, or you can decide to just you could just do so many things and still end up on top in life. But the goal is to have knowledge right now,
Mm-hmm.
and for parents to be as supportive as possible. And I think those are the key things. I think students really, besides their grades, they really want to build great relationships with teachers, because teachers
Mm.
and staff will be writing you recommendations. You also want to get to know your guidance counselor. When students are filling out the common application, the guidance counselor have the option of putting a recommendation in there for a student, submitting a recommendation. So I think getting networking starts now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really what it is. So they need recommendations. They also want to participate in sports. I know that's a big thing down in the South, up here too, but we just don't have the space
Yeah.
to throw the
Because
ball really
tell
far.
tell my husband he should have been an NFL player had he gone to a school that had a football team.
Yeah, yeah. It's really your environment and what they push forward into the students view, So in the South they're very sports driven, and in the North it's like, well, whatever that is.
More
So I
so basketball than football.
yeah, basketball,
Mhm.
it's what we have the space for. And that's
Mhm.
what I say. But
Yep.
there's so much out there. So get into involve in sports, and then also internships. Oh my goodness, I can't stress that enough. Like really getting involved in doing internships and finding out
Even
from
in
your
high school.
even oh my goodness, that's like it's a big deal right now. Like I look for internships for my students so that they're not only collaborating with staff in the school, but they're also seeing people in the business world. I bring my friends in to school.
Mhm.
So Tanya, if you were still living here in New York, you would be in my school probably once a year or twice a year, right? Each
Yeah.
semester, because I want them to meet folks and the different journeys that they had to go to be able to get to where they are. So
And there was an organization that I worked with in the summer called Futures and Options. I think it's still around. It's been around for a
oh
long, long time. That they train students during the year, resume writing, and just how to work in office settings and stuff. And in the summertime, they do internships,
yes.
paid internships.
And don't get me started with the paid internship. My thing is like, I want paid internship. What do you have to offer these children? Because at the end of the day, they don't understand that sometimes, volunteer is a good thing as well. But it'd be great if they're earning something at the end of it. You said something
Yeah.
really important is resumes. Even
Hmm.
if the students are not trying to find a job, they should have a resume. They should have a
Hmm.
resume with their GPA on it. If they don't want to put their GPA on it, whatever it is that they're doing outside and inside of school, whether it be with church, whether it be babysitting their nephew, their niece, wherever, their family members, build a resume. We've created resumes off of pretty much almost nothing. Write down that you volunteer in the teacher's classroom. Make it sound good. Trust me, it's worth a million. Hmm.
Awesome. So now, when should they? When do college applications open, and they start to really look at them seriously? I know, like we've been taking our kids to college tours,
Mhm.
even in middle school. So
Yeah.
they're able to see the colleges and have that experience. But if you have a high schooler, when should they have their first meeting with a guidance counselor, and when should they start really pulling? And I know like there's a HBCU overall application that they can do,
Yes,
but when should
yes.
that process start, Sharon?
Well, you should I think exploring it in sophomore year.
Okay.
I know let me just say the guidance counselors are very busy. They're probably focused on the seniors, they're focused
Seniors.
on the juniors. So it may seem like they're not paying your attention, but I think the students can start in the sophomore year, just kind of starting to research colleges, taking their PSATs. When they research colleges, it's not necessarily like, okay, I have to know what major I'm going to pursue. It could be like, do I want to be in a large school? Do I want an open campus? How far do I want to be away from home? And they should explore that again in junior year. And in junior year is really when you should get really, really serious about it. I would say before that, I know some people on here will probably be like, no, 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 it should be earlier. But I would say junior year, because you can actually start filling out your Common App as early as junior year. So I think all of that, and just really get to know your guidance counselors as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I know in some instances, some of the schools, I know you're a very involved guidance counselor. You go and
I
hunt
am.
your kids, hunt your students down. Um, what would you suggest for parents that may have a guidance counselor that is not as easy to get an appointment with? What can parents do?
Yeah. I think what parents can do is because if a parent is concerned that the guidance counselor is not involved, that means that parent is involved, right? So the
Mhm.
parent can also kind of start doing their own research on things and networking themselves, and of course, reach out to the guidance counselor. Of course, if they have a college advisor, they also some schools have two. I'm doing both.
Mhm.
Um, but I think they themselves can start doing some research with the students. And I think one of the biggest things that parents have trouble with is releasing like their documents for their financial documents. So that's
Okay.
really, really important, is just starting the process with your child. I know for me in high school, and I see it for a lot of other students, I didn't have a guidance counselor that was involved. And so with my sister, siblings, and even my mom, we went to visit colleges. We just started to find out more information on our own. Hmm.
Okay. So you said junior year they start filling out the Common App. When should they start taking the SAT or
Well,
ACT?
they can start that in 10th grade year. It depends on the school, depends on the student, but junior year is a really good time to take it in the spring of your junior year. That's really the
Spring,
time.
junior.
Yeah, so when I say they can fill out the Common App, they really can't submit it at that point, but the
Okay.
Common App has so much information on there that they have to fill out, so it's best to just get that started now
Okay.
in junior year.
So so we have a good resume, we have that Common App. Do
Yes.
they require an essay on the Common App?
So the Common App is really for you to apply to colleges through Common App. So it's really just a platform for, and other things, but platform for students to apply to college. So some colleges will require essays, and they will show that on the Common App. There's also
Okay.
the HBC, the Black Common App as well, that I think it costs
Mhm.
like $20 for students to put up to 20 schools or something like that.
Mhm.
My students didn't use the Black Common App this year. We used the Common App because we didn't have a lot of students applying for HBCUs. So I mean, they did apply. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like it wasn't necessarily worth it for them to have to do it on the Common App, because
Mhm.
they were getting. I mean, I waived. Everybody got a fee waiver. I mean, I work in the Bronx. We're a Title I school, and if anybody
Uh-huh.
wants to know what that is, it's a school that have about 75 or more students who are low income.
Mhm. And qualify for free lunch.
Free and reduced lunch, but lunch is free anyway. I mean, it's so we just say, low income, and go from there.
Okay. So we have our scores back,
Hmm.
and it is now senior year. So now what? What do we do?
So now it's senior year, you really should maybe attempt to take the SATs again. Maybe you could take it in August. Maybe I think at least get two opportunities to, have some scores for the SATs. I don't know if everybody knows how that works, but it'll take the highest of your reading, the highest of the math, right?
Okay.
So it's not just one exam and then that's it. We take the next one. It's going to take from, if you took it 5 times, it'll just take the highest of each and then combine them. So the
And I
many
think in
times,
some of our schools, we even have free prep programs.
yes, there's free prep programs. In New York, we have free SAT day. So SAT is free for all students across
For
the,
SAT also? I know we
yeah.
had PEP SAT. For
Oh,
SAT, wow.
yes, SAT day. So everyone gets it once free. And here's the amazing thing about it. I'm sure this can be the case in other states if they offer it. You can get up to 2 more waivers for SATs after you take it for free with the school. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so some of my students just utilized that and got the highest score. So after you're done with the scores, you come into senior year and it's really time to really submit those applications, right? There are things that you have to do. You got to find, I would say, visit the colleges if you haven't done so already. What else? Get a brag sheet. That's important. If you're asking someone for a recommendation, you should send them what we call a brag sheet to kind of list all the things, the accomplishments that you've had, and then that way they can write you like a really great recommendation for college. You should
Oh,
be in your
that's
guidance
good. I've
counselor.
never heard it
Yeah,
called that because,
yeah,
as a teacher, I have, been asked to write recommendations and yeah, a brag sheet would really help.
yeah. It's really important to have that brag sheet. It's like, I don't remember how you
Especially
were
if you
this
taught them
day.
in ninth grade and now they're seniors. Like they've
Thank
done a lot
you.
since then. So yeah, brag
Exactly.
about yourself.
Yes,
Absolutely.
brag sheet. Yep. Yeah.
And then you can also give them your resume.
Give them your resume. That should be attached to your brag sheet as well, so they can see what you're doing. But yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. That is a
yeah.
good piece of advice right there. All
Hmm.
right. So along with we're now getting those college acceptance letters in, and parents are happy in one case. In another case, they're terrified because they're like, how are we going to pay for this? So
Yes.
we know that the FAFSA just it opened up December 31st, right?
Yes, yes. I do want to talk about something before you pivot to the FAFSA.
Go right
The
ahead.
So with college applications, students then have to now decide, do they want to do early decision? Now, early decision is what
Okay.
you when you apply, you want to you're basically applying to the college and they would let you know if you are accepted very, very early. Now, early decision is binding. So if you apply for early decision and you get accepted, you have to attend that university.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's also something called early action. So early action is where they will let you know early if you are accepted, but you don't have to make the decision until decision day, which is in May.
Okay.
So some people shy away from early decision. That
Well, what if you apply for early decision for more than one college?
you cannot. Yes, you
Oh,
have to
oh,
resend it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You should be very clear on. They even tell you that be sure that you do not apply for early decision for other universities. You cannot, because you're
Okay.
saying I want to attend this university. For some folks, it's a benefit because if you're applying early, then they know that you mean business, and then that way the colleges that have more endowment, they may then offer you the full package.
Oh, yeah.
So it works out for some folks. And
Mhm.
some folks just really want to know. Like, I want to know, but I don't want to make a decision now. That's early action for you. And then
Early
there's the
action.
others, which is the roll-in admission, where you can apply whenever the regular decision is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we got to find some money. Where's the money, honey?
Where's the money? So parents get really nervous about this. There are parents who, I remember I even spoke to a parent recently and already told their child, you're staying here. You're staying close to home because I don't have
Mhm.
money to pay for you. And it was just like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I really wish that parent didn't, because it just kind of made that student, not be interested in anything. They lost all of their motivation and everything because they're just like, whatever, I'm just gonna stay here. It doesn't matter. So parents get really nervous, but I don't. It's like buying a car. You don't want to just look at the price tag and then walk out and say I can't
Mhm.
afford it. You know,
Mhm.
and just life in general. You don't want to say, oh, I can't afford it. You find a way, you figure it out, you ask the questions, you get to know what are opportunities available to you.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to limit our kids. I think I was older when I moved to New York, but if, I did talk to my dad even though I was an adult, be like, "Hey, I want to move very 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 far from home." And just having that, "Okay, babe, it'll be okay," that helps to have that reassurance when you leave, to that your parents are happy with the decision that you've made. So you know limiting your child on where they can go, just based on one factor, you like need to really exhaust all resources first.
Exactly. May 1st is decision day for a reason. They don't want
Hmm.
you to make that decision anytime earlier unless you're absolutely sure. So parents should explore with their children, and also just be patient and see what else, what are the options there are, to be
Yeah.
honest. Mhm.
So now when we fill out the federal form, what
Yes.
do parents need to, because this is more so on the parents than the students, right?
A little bit of both. It's mostly
Okay.
it's both as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do the
So,
parents need to have readily available?
oh my goodness. You know what? Let me just get my notes right now. 'Cause, okay, so first of all, parents, students should be filling out their FAFSA. Usually it's in October, but this year they delayed it till December 31st.
Oh, okay. It's usually
Yes,
October.
we were
Okay.
waiting a very, very long time for this. So when students before that, they need to have what you call a FSA ID, a Federal Student Aid ID. It's not like
Okay.
a physical pin, it's just really like a sign in. And every single person have to have it. So the students had to do it. It took about a week or two or maybe even 3 days for some for it to come through. And then the students will fill out the FAFSA, and then they can invite their
So, and
parents.
they need to keep
Mhm,
this ID because every time they go in, don't
mhm.
lose the ID.
Right, it's like a password and
Yeah.
username password kind of thing. So
Hmm.
they just need to not lose it, keep it somewhere. Parents, every parent, which is now called a contributor, every parent contributor needs to have an FSA ID. If you have anything to do with your child financial aid, you would need an
So is
FSA ID.
their pin is different from the student's
Mhm.
pin?
Everyone have their own. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Everyone have their own. No, so let's say, for example, my daughter will apply to college next year. I already have a FSA ID because I went to college. I've
Oh, okay.
not no, let me not say that. Not that I went to college, but I did utilize the federal government for funds.
Okay. Okay.
Because in my undergrad, obviously I was undocumented, as I said earlier, so everything was cash. When I got an opportunity to use the federal government, I was like, let's go. Maybe that was a
Yes.
bad decision, but for my master's and another one, like you, I have two masters as well.
Mhm. Yep.
So what do parents need? So parents need, we need your tax return. The students really need your information, please. Their parents who are like, no, I'm not giving you my information, it's just too much. They say things like, this is too invasive. I'm like, no, the government needs it, and with your social security they can find it, so don't lie.
So is
um
it just the past year? Just 1 year?
yeah, so if your child is graduating in June of 2024, then you need your 2022 tax return. And if your child is graduating next year, you need the 2023. So it's always that year kind of behind. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And you will do this every year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I
So you
think
need
that's one of
mhm,
the things of parents not wanting to release that information. It was kind of like when they were sending out the income tax credit
mhm.
during COVID.
Yeah.
And it was like the money was just dropping in people's account. And it's like nobody cared that the government had access to your bank
Thank
account to drop
you.
the money in there. But then
Thank
all of a
you.
sudden, oh, that's my personal information. But you were okay when the government was
Right.
like, "We're just gonna drop this into your account."
Right, exactly. How did you get in there? Okay. But but for your child, like you can definitely just make that exception. So you need like, they need your marital status, they need the schools that you've been to, things like that. And sometimes some students don't know what colleges that their parents have attended. They just know they went to college, which is mind-blowing
The
to me.
parents have to put down all this information?
So they would put that, let's say, on the common app. But
Okay.
any additional information they may need about the parent, yeah. So I would have it all there: date of birth, alien number if you're documented but not quite a citizen yet. So all of your financial information will be really, really helpful.
Well, why do they need the parents' information if it's this is for the
No, because the parents are the ones that the parents' income is what's going to provide aid for the students.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So they need that. Actually, they ask for the students of income tax, or if the students are working as well. But I mean, if you're in high school, you're not making more than, I don't know, 15,000 a year or something, you should be fine.
Okay. And then what do the students have to put on the form?
So the students are just pretty much filling out their information, their social security number, but mostly like they're working with their parents together to put this information on it. Right. So
Okay.
just personal, whatever personal information. Oh, a great thing that's added this year, at least they said it was added this year. You can add up to 20 schools, attach it to your financial aid, to FAFSA, so that they can, kind of merge that stuff together. So you can add up to 20 schools that you're applying to,
Oh,
which
okay.
is great. Hmm.
So the schools when they're looking at will the schools get this information too? So maybe when they're looking at scholarships and how much financial aid they have, they can make those decisions too.
Yeah, it's kind of like, whatever the federal government gives you, and then the school can then, if you can even ask the school for any additional funds that they may have. Some schools are well endowed, so you want to be able to ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them for, like you would ask for a discount. You
Mm-hmm.
say, I this is my package. I don't, we would really love to have more opportunity, more aid, and you can even showcase some of the things that you can offer the university, but it's simply an ask, you know
Mm-hmm.
and some colleges,
One of the things that I found out here was in Georgia, we have what we call the Hope Scholarship that
okay.
helps with financial aid. But we also found out that there's some schools, I know, like in Alabama and some other states that have an agreement with Georgia, and they also accept Hope scholarships. It's not a
Nice.
lot, but yeah, so even looking into who's affiliated with some of the financial aid resources that you have in your particular state, and look at if it's connected to a school that you might be interested in going to, things like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And look into the states, because there's some states that have like their own version of free tuition. I know in New
Yes.
York State, we have something called the Excelsior Scholarship. So after you apply for financial aid, then they can then make up the difference. However, you have to commit yourself to working in New York State for a couple of years after college, which I think
Okay.
is great. Yeah, it's
So
a good trade-off.
what were the changes in the FAFSA from previous years?
Yeah, so some of the changes is mainly like they're now called contributors, low income, less questions. So like low income will have like fewer questions, whereas like folks with higher income, they will have a little bit more, not too much. It's just so that they can kind of dig in a little bit and see what's going on there. um One of the changes I did not like, when I heard it, I thought it was like terrible, but they used to offer discounts if you have a child in school already. So if a parent has more than one, if they have siblings who are also in school, there's a discount. They said that would be no longer. So if multiple
Oh.
students, yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's where you can really ask the colleges what they have available. um let's see, I think before it was like you could say that you are separated,
Mhm.
and you would just click a button that says that you and your spouse are separated, but now you have to prove it with documentation. I believe now it's more focused on the parent who gives 51 or more percent of the support. So there's a couple of those are the different changes. I didn't. It's not a whole lot, but I think the one that stood out the most to me was really just the multiple, the discount for multiple students in college.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that, well, that'll be an issue for me having kids that are only 2 years apart. Um,
Yeah.
Nikki said that some bordering states to Georgia will also waive out of state fees. That is good.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
wonderful. That's wonderful.
that
Yeah.
is real good. So yeah, so you don't get the discount if you have multiple children in college. So we need to push scholarships, scholarships, scholarships. I know
Yes.
one of the things that I went to the reception for my alma mater when they were here in Georgia, because we recruited a lot of students, and the the presidential scholarships were pretty tough. Those
Mhm.
scores had to be close to perfect to get those presidential scholarships. But depending on your major, each college within the university may have scholarship money to award.
Yes. Yeah, some schools are, they have endowments, so they have money. There's so much money out there, but the families, the counselors have to really, just help guide and help the students to get them. Hmm.
And that's a good idea when you go to visit the schools, to actually make connections with the college
Yes,
that
yes.
you want to attend. So like I know for Florida A&M, like one of our biggest colleges is our pharmacy, and our SBI, which is our business
Mhm.
program, is pretty much world renowned. So those are the types you want to go to the particular school in which you're interested in, try to form those relationships too.
Yes, I would say that I agree. Do think that there's a lot of families who may not be able to, visit the colleges and everything. So I would say attend the college fairs that are close by in your neighborhood. You can Google them and find out. You can also keep an ear open or speak to your guidance counselors about colleges visiting the high school. That's where you can
Hmm.
really make those connections with the college reps. Some of the college reps, they're the ones reading the essays. Some of them are the ones that are assisting in the acceptance process. I know one of our students this year, she got an early acceptance because she constantly kept in contact with the college rep and anyone who's affiliated with the admissions counselor, I should say. And she was so excited. She had our first acceptance for the year, and that I truly believe it's because she was in contact with these reps and admissions
Yeah,
counselors.
it's all about building relationships from the beginning. We've really talked about building relationships, and it really
Yeah,
goes all the way through life. So you're
yeah.
building relationships with your teachers to get your letters of recommendations early
Mhm.
on, and you building relationships with your guidance counselor, and it
Right.
continues. And then as we go through life, this is the journey. When they
Yeah,
say no man is an island, you can't, function in this society without building good, healthy relationships. And
yeah,
we can see
absolutely.
when that's not built, it's sometimes can be tragic.
Yeah. There's also trade school. Trade schools, you can when you're if you're applying for trade school, you can also use the FAFSA as well. You can apply for financial aid to be able to support that. I know particularly Mercedes Benz, if someone is into like what am I like what do you call the folks who are maintenance, they fix the cars. What's the correct
Okay,
name?
mechanics.
Mechanic. The little things you forget. Uh, so I know Mercedes Benz has a program in Gwinnett County. Well, Mercedes Benz partner with a college in Gwinnett County to help students there in college, and they also have a trade within Mercedes Benz. So they have a relationship there in Georgia. So I think that's really great. But there's a lot of there's colleges that have partnerships with like with companies so that students can then just seamlessly, you know, be a part of that company after.
And that's great too,
Right.
because a lot of the trade schools, you don't have to commit for such a long period of time.
Right.
But maybe if you have 2 years or 18 months, things like
Mhm.
that, you can be finished with the program and be a working resident, probably
Yes.
making more money than your teacher.
No, seriously, seriously. I mean, I think that students should definitely. I think some schools they may discourage students from. They may be pushing college, 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 and I think that's important. But what I
I
tell the
think we're
students,
starting to get away from that now, and that,
yeah,
like, really looking at
we
the interest
should.
of the kids, especially when we talk about how many students get in debt. Because one of the things we noticed with some colleges, their graduation rate can be as low as 30%.
Right.
But then you have all those students that may have applied for loans, they still have that debt but don't have the degree.
Yeah.
So making sure that we're looking at other routes,
Yes.
like trade school, that's a shorter amount of time, but you can come out with a career is still.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I definitely think that students should still learn the knowledge of like the college process so that just
Hmm.
in case they feel like they do want to go back to and go to college and get that degree just so they can have in their pocket. Because what happens is sometimes you're working at an organization and you're the best worker there, right? But then
Okay,
somebody comes in with a college degree and
they're
they're
now
maybe
your
not
boss.
right. And it's not fair, right? But if you had that little bit of paper, then of course. So it's good to just know the process. You never know your life path. You may
Mhm.
get married one day, you have a trade, and you're like, I want to go back to school. And so,
That's really good advice. Really, really good. We want to keep our options open, and we want to make sure that we're able to possibly just work one job to take care of our families and things like that. And sometimes, well, many times, having what we call that piece of paper
yeah, that piece of paper or papers, right?
or
My
papers.
something you don't know about me, Tanya, right now, right? Because
What?
we live in two different states. And this actually ties into the whole, trade stuff. I actually learned carpentry.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so I was building things. I helped my contractor with the bathroom renovation. I actually renovated my own kitchen.
All right
I
now.
built out my closet to be like this amazing closet. And of course then I sold the house, right? So I sold the house,
You
but
sold another
guess
house?
what sold the house? All the things that I did to it, including the bathroom with my contractor. So
Now
yes,
you now
it's good
you
to have a
bring that
trade.
you bring that up, but right about now, real estate is the hottest thing on the market, and flipping
Yes,
houses, which you now seem to be a connoisseur, because I think
yes.
that's house is that house number 2 or house number 3?
This is house number 2. I'm looking for another house. I do invest in as well. So I'm yes. So real estate, yes, that's like my thing. I'm part of like an inner circle with with real estate investors. So I'm really excited about that. But I just think that it's so important, even in addition to your college degree. I think it's so important to pick up something else that's your passion. I hate when people say, "What would you do if you were not teaching?" And I'm just like, "Wait, I should be saying teaching, but I actually enjoy so many other things, that came from no degree at all, but just a
and,
God-given talent."
and Sharon, I ended up in New York following my passion of
The
fashion.
fashion. Yes.
So
Yes.
end up moving to New York just to go to fashion school, and was going to hightail my tail back to Florida and end up staying in New York for quite some time.
I'm so
So
glad you did, because then I wouldn't have met
yes,
you.
absolutely. So we cannot overlook trades,
Right.
because we never know what path that it's going to take us on, and even if it's not something that we do as a career choice, it definitely enriches our lives in so many different ways. So like with me, I moved to New York, I have a whole nother group of
Mhm.
family and friends there. You decided to take up carpentry, is helping
Yes.
you in your real estate business. So we still do other things, but those passions stay with us.
Right,
And so
right.
it's so important that no matter what our future generation chooses, just to go that extra step beyond high school. And let's not make finance a barrier in going to that next level.
Definitely. I mean, I truly believe that, you know, because I believe in the Lord, and for me, the Bible says your gift will make room for
Room
you.
for you. Yep.
Okay, so it is so true. It's like whatever your gift is, there is space in this world for you. You just have to be ready and prepared when opportunity arrives.
Awesome. And on that note, we're gonna leave it there. Thank you so much, Sharon. If anybody
Sure.
has any questions, they can put it in the chat, and I know you'll check on it. I'll check on it,
Mhm. Yeah.
and clarify anything. But I
Yes.
think it's extremely important that we build those relationships for our parents and our students. Build those relationships with our teachers, with our guidance counselors, because guidance counselors know about they know where the money is, they know about certain schools, after they've been doing a few years, they can
Yeah.
really guide
Yeah.
you along that journey.
And if they don't know, they know somebody who does. And that's my thing.
Absolutely.
I don't know it all. If I did say something that was not correct, which I don't think, but it happens, right? It
Yeah.
happens. I know I can call a friend,
Mm-hmm.
a few of them.
Yep. And I know I can call a few friends. Thank you so much, Sharon. It's always
Thank
good to
you.
see you. We'll be able to see each other in person one day.
Yes.
So a big hug to you and your
Big
family, and
hug.
have a wonderful evening.
All right. Yes, you too. Thank you so much for everything and have a great night.
Thank you. So I hope we have enriched your lives and given you some information that you can now take for your children, your nieces, nephews, cousins, um, to help them along the way. So if you want to go back and rewind this to see some of the things that we talked about, far as the timeline and things that you should focus on, please do so. And when you get an opportunity, please go to my Aging Funny Community Conversations and join our group. There are a couple questions that I would like for you to answer to join the group, and so that we can keep in touch. And this is Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate. And I am the candidate for Commissioner District 3, Clayton County. And I use my love of learning and passion for community engagement to empower families. You all have a wonderful evening, and I will see you next week.